in the parking lot yet, so.
We could start and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance a few times till we get it right.
Come on, it's gotta
That
be
would
right.
be the kids in the.
So, all right, I guess I'll call. Are you ready to record? Are you? Thank you. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Section 7E of Open Meetings Act, on agenda, the Open Meetings Act, as president of the McHenry County Conservation District.
That sounded better.
Yes. Roll call.
Trustee Cook, Trustee Dom,
Present.
Trustee Thomas,
Present.
Trustee Brandt,
Here.
Trustee Fritz, Trustee Campbell, Trustee Henning.
Present. We have a quorum. Okay. And I need to read the remote participation, don't I?
Yes,
Consideration of a motion to allow the Board of Trustees to attend remotely through electronic participation as per Administrative Policy 2.04.02. The basis for missing the meeting is due to family emergency, and a per PA 101-0640 suspending requirements of members of the public body must physically be present.
I will so move.
Second.
Have a motion from Dave, second from Chris. I need a roll call, please.
Trustee Dom,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas,
yes.
Trustee Campbell, no, sorry, Trustee Brandt.
Yep.
Yes, motion carries. That brings us to public comment 1. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to comment?
I don't see anything.
Thank you. So we'll move on.
I have a hand up.
Oh, we do have a hand up. Who do I have?
That's Matt.
Matthew Ewertowski.
I see you. No.
Oh, I see
Okay,
your
thank you.
hand.
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right. All right. Great to be with you all. Thanks for the privilege and honor to attend the meeting tonight. As many of you know, I'm a past trustee with the board, and definitely appreciate all the time and dedication that you all invest in representing our community for the Conservation District. I'd like to personally thank all the district employees for continuously delivering a top-notch program, no matter what your recreational choice or outdoor interest is. And that's a sincere thanks to everyone that makes an amazing department at our Conservation District, from the office to the field representatives to the police department. And tonight, I'm here today to specifically and publicly thank Gabriel Powers, as well as all representatives that put together the most stellar hunting program for the 2020 year. I've been a participant of the program, I think the first or second year that it went into existence, and every year thereafter. And last year was the absolute best delivery of a recreational program that I've experienced at the district. So I wanted to publicly recognize Gabe, Brad, and all other participants of the district that brought that to life. And secondly, I want to thank our community participants in the hunting program, representing our community in great force and dedicating a lot of time to the program. Tonight, I'd respectfully request that any submission for the 2021 year is reviewed with fine detail by the board and unanimously passed for any new changes, updates, or requests from Gabe and his team. And I'd like to thank you for your time and appreciate being here. Have a great evening, everyone.
Yeah, Matt, thank you. Was it your comment, Matt, that said, yes, do we give him a raise?
Yes, absolutely, Gabe. I forgot that part. That's in my notes. 10% raise for Gabe, please.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you very much. It's always nice to get positive feedback, so thank you.
You bet.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing none, but I didn't see that one either, so seeing none at this point in time, I will move on to new business. A review of regular meeting agenda items.
I don't have any comments other than the fact that I'm thrilled that the School Spring Fen wetland bank is up and going, and we're gonna be voting on that Tuesday, so I'm really thrilled about that. But other than that, no other comments.
Anyone else? Okay, move on to discussion Prairie Trail South Stream Bank Stabilization Project. Who is Amy leading that off, or, who's discussing that?
Well, Amy Peters, our planning manager, and Sarah Rummel, our landscape architect. And Sarah Rummel is going to lead the presentation for you this evening. So we're gonna share screen.
Bill?
All right, Sarah, you are up and viewable here.
Can everybody see the screen okay?
I do.
Good evening. I'm here to give you an update on the Prairie Trail South Stream Erosion and Trail Stabilization Project. Planning has been working with Hay & Associates since last August. Current site improvement plans are a little over 50% complete. The goal is to have final plans and approved permits by the end of the summer. Sheet 1 is our cover sheet, and it shows the project area in red. This is the aerial view. We are down in the southwest part of the county in Algonquin and Lake in the Hills. Route 31 is to our east, Pyatt Road is to our west, Algonquin Road is to our south, and adjacent to us is Material Services and Lake in the Hills. Red line is our project location, and the stream area we are focusing on is approximately 1,800 linear feet. Here are a few existing condition pictures to show all of the erosion control methods currently in place. First photo shows the twin culverts up north. Here we have riprap placed along the bank. This is a combined fix of grouted riprap and concrete walls. Here we have just grouted riprap. And the last photo shows a concrete wall. This is our phasing and alternates plan. I do want to point out that on the next few sheets, north faces to your left. The area in blue is our north phase. The area in yellow with dots is our central phase. The area in pink is our south phase. And all three sections make up our base bed, and work includes the removal and replacement of existing culverts, the removal of prior bank treatments, the installation of new bank improvements, the installation of an aggregate shoulder on the west side, and native restoration. We have also identified 4 alternates that would benefit the project. This allows us, Alternate 1 in solid yellow is the creation of a creek meander. This allows us to clear additional invasive trees and brush, move the existing creek away from the trail. The new alignment would follow the site's natural contours and would help slow down the flow of water and would restore the area with native vegetation. Alternate 2 in green is the replacement of 2 round 36-inch culverts with a box culvert. This allows us to replace culverts that have severe scouring issues. The box culvert would also provide for a more natural flow, and the wind walls would help direct the water. Alternate 3 in light blue is the addition of a swale on the east side. This allows us to clear additional invasive trees and brush, grade the right side to create a swale, install an aggregate shoulder, and restore the area with native vegetation. Alternate 4 in orange is to grind and overlay the existing asphalt surface. Sheet shows us our North Creek phase in alternate 2. Solid black line is our property boundary. The solid light gray lines are the existing contours. The light gray area in the middle is our trail, and the black dashed line is the existing creek alignment, and the black dots is our stone toe and slope protection area. What we're proposing to do is install new culverts underneath the trail, realign and soften the 90-degree turns, install a stone toe and slope protection along the bank, and install rock riffles. This is our stone toe and slope protection cross section. Our trail is on the right. The existing grade is the dashed line. The stone toe or riprap is at the base of the slope. The stream bank is regraded. A scour mat is installed along with native vegetation, and we'd also install an aggregate shoulder.
Hey, Sarah, I have a little concern about that one. It says on that slope, it's gonna be a 2-to-1, and it's gonna be 6 inches of topsoil. I'm really concerned that soil's not gonna hold at a 2-to-1.
Yeah, we can talk about that, Dave. Right now, if you look at the existing grade, it's higher than that. It's greater than the 2-to-1 or 50%. And then that's why too, we're gonna install this scour mat that goes in here up 4 feet. And then we're gonna put in native vegetation.
That helps, good deal. What is that, bespread topsoil? What is that thing that you're putting on a mat? Stop.
It is. It's right here. It's a transition mat. So this kind of dashed black line here, it is. It's kind of like a geogrid that instead of arming the whole entire slope there with riprap is right, and it established with native vegetation.
I think you probably addressed it. Thank you.
You're welcome. This sheet shows us our Central Creek phase plus alternate 3. Solid black line is our property boundary. The solid light gray lines are the existing contours. The light gray area in the middle is our trail. The bottom dashed black line is the existing creek alignment. The black dots is our stone toe and slope protection area. The diagonal lines is our lunker structure area. And the dashed black line up top is our swale. What we are proposing to do is create a swale, install a new culvert underneath the trail, install a combination of a lunker structure and stone toe treatment along the banks, and install rock riffles. This is our east swale cross section. Our trail is on the left. Existing grade is the dashed line. We grade the east side to incorporate a swale, install an aggregate shoulder, and native vegetation. This sheet shows us our South Creek phase. Solid black line is our property boundary. The solid light gray lines are existing contours. The light gray area in the middle is our trail again. The bottom dashed line is the existing creek alignment, and the diagonal lines is the lunker structure area. And what we're proposing to do here is install 2 culverts underneath the trail, install a lunker structure along the bank, install some rock riffles, and restore the area with native vegetation.
You're gonna put a lunker out there? I didn't see that. We'll go back. Where is it?
No, so what we're proposing to put in lunkers. So from this section here all the way down, this is where we're going to install this lunker structure. So this is the lunker structure cross section. Our trail is on the right. Existing grade is the dashed line. We'd install the lunker, which is a lumber structure supported by a cobblestone. The structure provides bank stabilization and aquatic habitat. We'd also install an aggregate shoulder and native vegetation. This is alternate 1, creation of a creek meander in our central phase. The light gray, the solid black line is our property boundary. The solid gray lines are existing contours. The light gray area in the middle is our trail, and the bottom dashed line is the new alignment of the creek meander. Part of this alignment does go off of our property and over into Lake in the Hills property. What we are proposing to do is install a new culvert underneath the trail, clear additional invasive trees and brush, move the existing creek away from the trail. The new alignment would follow the site's natural contours and would help slow down the flow of water. Install some rock riffles and restore the area with native vegetation. This is the creek meander cross section. Our trail is on the right. Existing grade is the dashed line. And what we'd like to do is create a new, wider, gentler slope channel and use the excavated material to fill in the old channel. Install an aggregate shoulder and restore the area with native vegetation. And my last sheet for you tonight is the estimate of probable cost for the project. By creek phase or section, the north cost is 108,000, the central is 78,000, south is 157,000 for a total base bid of 344,000. For alternate one, the creek meander cost comes in at 191,000. The box culvert is 45,000. The east swale is 67,000, and to grind and overlay the trail is 36,000 for a total cost of 341,000. To do everything at once plus the creek meander, our total cost is 606,000. To do everything at once minus the creek meander, our total cost is 494,000. We could also do the improvements by phase in order of priority, starting with the south section and ending with alternate 4 for a total cost of 494,000. Funding is available. By going with alternate 1, the creation of a creek meander, we could apply for a section 319 grant through the IAPA. It's a 60-40 split. 60% would fall on the IAPA and 40% of the cost would fall on us. It's also a reimbursement program. We would have to pay everything up front and get reimbursed. For example, if the project cost is 606,000, we would be responsible for 242,000 and the IAPA would be responsible for 364,000. And that's it. That's all I have for you guys. Any questions or input on the design approach?
Anybody have anything?
I've asked mine.
Sarah did a great job. I just want to jump in real quick and talk to you about, we have communicated to the village of Algonquin, the village of Lake in the Hills. We've already, we held a, very early on, held a pre-permitting meeting with the county, you know, with everybody that had a stakeholder, you know, adjacent to this. Sarah's done a great job of communicating to the Meyer Materials, the gravel pit operation, you know, so made everyone aware of what we're hoping for, what we're looking at. And so we just wanted to share with you what all has taken place. You know, Dave, to your comment, if we could meander the whole thing further away, we would. That would be better, and it would get us the slope that we know is the best. But we just don't have that kind of land. We don't have that acreage, so you know that's why you see the different types of methods out there. Hay and Associates has been great, and we are. Really interested in the 319 and what that offers to the project, to the long-term success of it, as well as it's definitely worth looking into for the financial aspects of it. It definitely stretches our dollars farther. I think our next step, Sarah, we just wanted to bring it to your attention. If you thought we should be going a different direction, you could, we could ask questions and we could talk about that. Our next steps would be to go back to the village of Lake in the Hills and talk about that meander and what would that look like? What we would have to get, we have to get Val and make an ask of since that's not on our land. But that would be our next, our next steps.
Well, I like the plan. I think you've addressed my concerns. I like the bunker structure and everything. I do like the meander. I don't have any other comments.
Anyone else?
Just
Oh, go ahead, Bill.
budget-wise, this is been a 5-year plan and a 5-year expenditure, or does it all fall into year 1 and then the reimbursement occurs on some other schedule?
Bill, we wanted to show you all options because they're all on the table. Right now, when we put together the 3-year capital budget, it was a 3-year plan, and we certainly can do this. We just wanted to show you some options, as well as the phasing is a priority of critical. We're losing trail in the south phase. Our sites and fleet have had to go in there and do emergency patching and erosion control. And so we wanted to show you both. So to answer your question, we just wanted to give you several different options. I think we definitely can do it in the 3 years like we had originally estimated. But if we needed to, for financial reasons, stretch it out. The other thing that we didn't know when we went to, when we originally put together the 3-year budget, is we didn't know that we had the 319 available to us. We didn't know that that was an option. And so obviously if that seems like it's a very good solution, and it definitely is something, then you would want to do more of the project all at once. Again, there's pros and cons. We've talked about it before. Each time you have a different year, you have to mobilize and remobilize, and so cost savings and that sort of thing. So it's definitely still just a conversation, but we just wanted to give you, sort of everything to to process and look at.
Well, when you say to do everything at once, does that make it a 1-year project, or is that what you mentioned as a 3-year projection?
I'll jump in, but Sarah, if you want to jump in, it would still be more than 1 year. The scope of the project is just more than what you can accomplish in one construction year. It would have to be phased.
So is the 319 grant out there for all of it, no matter how long it takes to do this project? Or do we start to lose some of that the longer it takes?
Sarah, do you want to take that?
I don't think I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Can you repeat that, John?
Great.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So the grant, is it throughout the length of the project, no matter how long it takes, or do we lose some of that the longer we're at this? Is that grant money only there for so long?
No, the grant money is only there for so long. So when if we apply for the 319, I would probably apply for everything, which would be the north, the central, the south, all the alternates. And it's really that alternate one, the creation of that creek or meander, that really sets us higher or rates us higher with the 319. So at the bottom here, that total project cost at 606, our percentage would only be 242 for the whole entire thing. Even if we just go back and do the base bid, we would be spending more money at 344,000. So if you're okay with it, right, and you'd want to do the project all at once, and you would give us the approval to do a 319 grant a little bit later on this spring, I would say, go ahead and submit the whole thing and see if we can save some money.
Yep. And then the process, the schedule, Sarah, of that 319, right? We would submit in the summer.
Yes.
But construction wouldn't be until the following construction season and fiscal year.
Correct. The applications will come out in the spring here this year. They're due at the end of July. And then if we are awarded, we won't, funding won't be available until spring or summer of next year. So in 2020.
I'm afraid you lost the very first. Will you repeat that, please?
So applications come out this spring yet, and then they're due at the end of July, and then we wouldn't find out if we are awarded until probably spring or summer of 2022.
It'll be our 2023 budget.
Yeah, 2023.
But then we'd also, so we would find out then how much, if we were getting any money at all. And so we could go down that path of doing it all at once, seeing how much money we were going to get. And if we didn't get any, maybe we'd have to back up again and see what we could do. But if we got it all, that would be.
I would prefer to do it all.
Yeah, it's cost effective to do it all at once, and if we can get the grant, that makes it work. So, I guess unless somebody else has something else, another comment, that looks like the path to head down now.
Great.
Amy, can you make sure that I'm accurate with this before I make a wrong statement? But in the fiscal year 2022 budget, we did have some funds available for this project, correct? But because we did not know of the 319 opportunity, now in re-looking at that, that's why we're bringing it forward, there's an opportunity to gain some not only efficiencies and financial savings by looking at it larger and delaying, right? To really seek out that opportunity.
Yes, you are correct. Again, it came down to timing of needing numbers for this upcoming budget and, when this project, got going and started engineering. But yes, you are correct.
Does anybody recall what we had in this budget?
200,000.
Okay, that's good. Well, it sounds like we got a plan, a consensus. Everybody's
I'm good with it.
looks happy about that. Well, not that I can tell with the mask on, but everybody's shaking their heads yes. So. Okay, is there anything else?
Hey.
And everything is. If it takes that long, we're stabilized enough that we're fine until for all this to take place. We've done enough work on it that everything's okay. Or
Yeah, we're Perry and his staff are ready if we need them to jump in and patch and, like I said, continue to do the emergencies if needed. So far, we haven't had anything new come up yet, but they're monitoring it very closely.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay. Moves us on to discussion 2020 hunting report and 2021 hunting recommendations. So, Gabe, are you there?
I am. Can you see the screen?
We can.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I am going to stop my video so I can save some bandwidth here. I've had issues. Then I'll hop back on. Well, maybe not. Anyway, so we have a 10-minute presentation here, and instead of just giving you another summary of the report that you just read, I thought it would be more beneficial to review the processes of the district and how the hunting report gets to you. And then at the end, I also have a slide going over some of the new recommendations for 2021. And I'd just like to say that the hunting program in general is an expression of all the district departments, and it really is a functional team. I couldn't do it without the help of everyone, and that's what I'm going to show you here today. If my slide will advance. Here we go. So this first slide here is just an overview, general overview of the program processes. Today you're looking at the static report, the annual report that comes to you. That will drive the directives, and that will lead to the applications that go to ActiveNet and will permit hunters and then get hunters afield. So for the report, we have the annual results, the financial results. We take a look at the feedback from the hunters, and that guides what our business strategy is going to be for the upcoming season. That will also guide the directives. So once you guys approve or provide direction on next year, next month in April, you'll receive the proposed directives. And that guides the annual program and allows us to create the ordinance that will govern the following hunting program. So that's where all the rules and regulations will be, as well as all the dates. After we have the directives, we'll start putting the applications online. They'll go up in May, and the first deadline is in July. Once we get our hunters to submit applications, we go through the qualification process for archery, run the lotteries. We have a mandatory orientation for all hunting programs. We process payments, we go over the maps, we mow trails and prep the blinds for waterfowl. Sites and Fleets does all the signage, and we prepare notifications to the neighbors and the site users. And after all that's done, we finally have the hunters afield. And when they're afield, we have the compliance through our police officers who are monitoring safety, the hunters are entering hunting data, and we have public interaction. Throughout this slide, anytime you see a red circle around one of the boxes, those pieces of information are portrayed on our website. As I mentioned previously, the static report you have comes to you in March of each year. In order to get that to you, we take a lot of information from our Access database, analyze it, provide the information to you. We also have our hunter surveys. So you saw the comments there. We try to ask specific questions about the past program, or if we have future options. You may have remembered the Ballard Road conversation a couple years ago. We actually put that blind in based on recommendations from the hunters. That information is reviewed by the hunting committee. And then new this year, we set up a hunter Facebook private group, and that allows us to have dynamic reporting, and that has been a value added to the customer. So after you approve the report and provide direction, we'll propose next year's directives, and those directives will guide where the zone placements are going to be. Everything that we do as far as zones on the land is managed through our spatial database, and that produces our zone maps and then also our neighbor letters. After we have the directives approved, we start the application process, and that's done through the ActiveNet program. After we have the data from the hunters and close the deadline, we process that in Access database. And then these are a series of in and out of the Access database. We have the qualifications, lottery, and permits. After we have the permits, they go to the permitted hunters, and we apply the fees based on where they are. And then we also have the permitted hunters sign waivers. And then new last year, we had the foundation purchase the huntmccd.org program. And that was the automation of the check-in and out for the hunters. So when I had first started, we were doing paper sign-in boxes, and then we moved to the Woohoo forms. And last year we had the huntmccd.org site. The police department, this is how they interact with that process that you just saw. Output for the police department is the master hunter list, so they know who's a field, what their permit is, where they should be, and then also emergency contact information. The huntmccd.org site allows the officers to have real-time information. So as soon as somebody checks in, they're able to see where they are. And then the huntmccd.org also has a safety feature. If there's an issue, there can be an alert that is prompted by the hunter. So this is real-time information that is occurring. And then that data ends up going into the Access database after the season. Another big component of the police department is their involvement in the hunter safety camp. The Finance Administration Department and Human Resources, Stephanie will take the applications that I make and put them on ActiveNet. At the end of the season, the accounting department, Jean will take a look at all the ActiveNet fees, and then Jean will take a look at her files. And that's how we produce the analysis for the finances. And then Jenny uses SurveyMonkey to provide the hunter survey, and then those results are provided to me. Marketing Education Department, a couple years ago, they brought in the CRM, Customer Relation Management System, to the district. And through some conversations, we're actually going to take a look at this process here. Previously, we'd have the hunters put in their data, you go to the Access database, and then it go to the CRM for any communication to the hunters. What I'm looking to do this next year is to short circuit that process and actually use the CRM for organization of hunter data that allow us, instead of going back and forth into Access with our email lists, I can make those within the CRM, and it will short circuit this longer process. New last year with the COVID issues that we had to make a lot of decisions throughout the year, but one that came about was a virtual orientation. I got to learn some new software and how to do an online presentation, and Caitlin was very helpful on getting that up on a private YouTube page for our hunters. The marketing department also assisted in getting that Hunter Facebook page up and running. Some of the conversations that we're having about for improvements next year is the hunting brochure. In the past, we had the hunting brochure as a marketing piece to give to hunters that were interested in the hunting program. We certainly do not need more hunters. We can't presently meet the demand that we have. So we're considering no longer having that hunting brochure be made, because all the information is now on the website, and that's where we try to direct all of our customers. Speaking of customer direction, with the neighbor letters, we're also considering reducing some of the fees, and we send out the neighbor letters every year, but we have this consistent program. What we're thinking of doing is just sending out postcards this year, because we used to put the hunting brochure in the neighbor letter, which was additional cost. So if we just did a postcard and directed the neighbors to the website, then we could reduce costs. One thing that we did want to do is if we ever moved into a new site, so if a site hadn't been hunted, we're moving back into it, we still wanted to provide that neighbor notification. Or for these sites that we consistently have hunted over the last 20 years, we think it would be suitable to just provide a neighbor letter saying, reference the website moving forward. The education department are the leaders for the hunter safety camp, and they of course have fees associated with those programs. These are some data metrics from the Facebook website, the Facebook private page. Previously, at the end of the deer season, we would provide a wrap-up meeting for our deer hunters that would kind of allow them to see their impact on the deer herd. And we'd have about 30 or 40 hunters that would show up to that in-person presentation, and it was a good showing. But now we are using that dynamic reporting system, so I'm giving them the same types of graphs, and they can interact with it in real time, and we can have conversations about it. And it's reaching in the 200 level. So we have 225 active members, and you can see right here, this is a survey question. We talked about ground blinds, and 197 people were able to interact with that. We have had multiple comments. Here's a few screenshots of people that enjoy, I blocked out their last names for privacy purposes, but they all seem to enjoy the Facebook platform, and the privacy of it allows them to have open and honest communications without having to worry about the rest of the Facebook world. When we're in the field, sites and fleets, construction, and our land preservation natural resource departments are essentially getting the program going. So land and preservation and natural resources will use our zone maps to mow the hunting trails. We have site maps. The construction crew puts in the auto gate codes for all those auto gates. And then we have signage with sites and fleets. And what's happened over the last 3 or 4 years is we've got most of the staff on the GIS platform, so they can edit signage in the field. So if we have an issue where there's a new ingress egress occurring, instead of having to track it over a series of lists, sites and fleets can add that signage onto the database, the spatial database, and then I can get a report at the end of the year, and I'll know that we need to have X amount of signs based on the past year, so that we don't lose any of that business knowledge. This is an example of natural resources and construction working together. In the bottom left here, we have natural resources installing that ballard blind that you guys had heard about previously. And then construction came out and built the roof, and I came out and tried to make it look natural. With that, one of the recommendations that we have this year is to eliminate the late archery season. And what that would do is we would no longer be closing open sites from November 1st to mid-January. What we're proposing to do is, in some cases, reduce the number of zones, other cases, keep the number of zones, and allow the public trails to be open and buffer the zone from the public trails. So we've done this for 2 years at Coral Woods, and that's what these pictures are. So this gives you a visual of what I'm talking about. Here in the bottom left, is the Coral Woods Trail structure. And what we've done is we have the same public parking lot, the hunters park here, and they'll go and archery hunt in this location, and Coral Woods has stayed open. We also have Coral Woods combo hunting to the north, and there has been an ability to have a coexistence of hunting and public use. This past year, we had a lot more complaints than we have previously, probably due to COVID, but also due to the extremely warm weather that we had in November last year. So that was our proposal for the 2021 directive, is to eliminate those late archery sites, move to full season, allow the public to be in the open trails and the hunting to be on the periphery. There was 3 sites that we could not do that to, just based on the alignment of the trail system. Those are Community Research Forest, Brookdale, and Felpro. Talking to sites and fleets, the Felpro Trail west of the power lines is not used that much. Most of the use is east of the power lines, so we would make that full season and just keep that part of the trail blocked off. Community Research Forest, we're proposing a split use. So there would be hunting from dawn to 10:30 and from 1 p.m. to dusk, and then public would be able to use those trails in the midday. And what was the other one? Brookdale, we would just stick with the November 1st. I could not figure out a way to make that one work. Was there any questions on the report or the recommendations?
I just had a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
One was, are you gonna continue, everything, orientation, are you gonna continue that? Is that how that's gonna continue on?
I think I heard you ask if we were gonna do the orientation in person. Is that correct?
Well, no, are you gonna stay with it virtual like you did?
No, we were gonna do it in person. We felt that there was better interaction with the hunters in that in-person meeting.
Okay.
We do have in the proposal, well, the directors would have written in there that if we can't because of public safety and health, that we would do it virtual, but the plan is to move forward with it in person.
And my other question was, do you get very many hikers that go in even if a trail is closed and hunters are out there? Do we have much of an issue there?
Yes, that happens all over the place currently.
It was, I read that you had a lot of it this year too, didn't you?
Yeah, and so that's another point for why we're doing the proposal, is the more that we can isolate and define public use, stay on the trail, wear your blaze orange, be seen, and then hunting is off the trails, I think that helps move forward. So the only closures that we would be proposing with the hunting program, other than the November 1st ones that I mentioned previously, would be for the 9-day season and firearm seasons.
And that's one of the reasons it's really important that we have our access points and they use our trailheads to access, because that's where we post signs not only on our website and through social media. But if you're coming in not appropriately, then you're not aware you're in a zone
Right.
or someplace
Yeah.
that's going on.
Well, Gabe, the only thing I want to say is I want to echo Matt and what he said, but if you look at the number of people that were 10 out of 10, voting 10 out of 10, and 96% of all hunters have 6 or higher, you're doing a good job. And a lot of those comments were appreciated, and I'm so happy that the $10,000 the foundation gave had made that website and you were able to use it. So I thought you're doing a great job, and thanks so much for the presentation, which shows that it's a team.
It
So
is.
thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Well, thank you. It was very good.
You're welcome.
Thank you, team.
Thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Jean.
Hey, Matt, I like the little thing you got on your screen there.
Okay, that will move us on to John Kramer with Glacial Park Conservation Area Structure. You there, John?
Yes, I am, and I will start sharing screen. Everybody see the screen? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can see it.
And you can see it. Okay, very good. Let's see, I get to follow the presentation on a wonderful program that Gabe and team have built over the years, and also a wonderful possible project that we're trying to remedy and save a trail, and we're going to be able to create a better habitat. I get to follow that with here's some old buildings, and it may not be, it's not as much fun. So I want to start with Glacial Park. There's a couple of structures in Glacial Park that we need to have a conversation about. Both of the structures are in the valley, what we call the valley. And that is if you're sitting at or standing at Lost Valley Visitor Center, there to the south, or I'm sorry, to the north, down in the lower areas there. There's a whole suite of buildings down there. We have a shop down there, which is to the right of this facility. This is the intern or seasonal house. So we have a shop down there. We have a cold storage building down there. And then off to the left of this house and behind it, you can kind of see it there, is what's called the Bat Barn. And that's the one that has a bat colony in it. The house, the intern house here, all of these properties were purchased, or all of these buildings were on property that we purchased in about 1990. This one here happened to be a single family residence. We leased it to or rented it to a staff member for most of the 90s. And then in early 2000s, we converted it to an intern house. That was when we had a very active intern program in the Natural Resources Department, or Land Preservation and Natural Resources Division. And that was operated, I think, till about somewhere around 2014 or something like that, where through budget cuts and shifting of resources, the intern program wasn't as robust anymore, and money was taken away from that for other purposes. So this house then became something that was utilized for seasonal staff occasionally living there. During that time, we recognized, I think I did the math, between 2014 and 2018, or 2019, I should say, 5 years, we had about 3.2 people per year in that house. And the average occupancy was somewhere around 18%. So it wasn't heavily used. It was it didn't get a lot of use during that time. We do incur a lot of costs though. Over the course of those 5 years, it's estimated, conservative estimate of about $45,000 had to be invested in that house. That's, the heating, the supplies, that's, I think there might've been, we might've painted it during that time. That was something I think I identified. So it did have some significant costs. So we're now to a point where it needs, sometime in the next probably 5 years, it's going to need a roof. It needs windows. Some HVAC things need to be done there, and some plumbing issues. And it does need paint again. When we get to these points where we're looking at those kinds of costs, then we start evaluating whether it's worth it or not, whether the return on investment is there or not. And in this case, staff is determining that it's not, and we're recommending that this one be put on the to be demoed list. I'm going to move on to the next one, and we can come back to this if anybody wants to talk about it. And this is the building that we call the football building, and it's named that. It's a cold storage building. Also in the valley there. It's the dimensions of a football field. It's 300 feet long or thereabouts, and it's about 160 feet wide. So it's a large building. Its construction is what's called bowstring trusses, and you can see them here in the right. This is one of the bowstring trusses. There's one here as well, you can see. And the use of this building has been storage of equipment and supplies. That's really about it. And sparing, I mean, there was never a lot of stuff ever stored in there. Over the last few years, we've done some repairs. You can see these bowstring trusses go into very aggressive, this is steel. I mean, this is a very heavy steel I-beam that goes down into concrete. Over the years, we've noticed that as these bowstring trusses sag, they start pulling away from these support systems. So we started going in there and shoring them up with beams and then some other additional support things. You'll see the same thing on the right side here. We went in there and you can kind of see a little a gap right there. This thing is pulling away from its support. So therefore we've added some supports. There's several supports have been added throughout the buildings. This year we had a significant snow load, heavy wet snow and a lot of it. And it caused some severe damage and stress to these bowstring trusses. I want to point out this one here. You can see some new cracking here. There's some old cracking here. So this thing has been, reducing, or I should say lowering for years. More new cracking here. You can see other stuff if you're a little closer up that has been cracking. More importantly is you'll notice I'm going to point to this truss that's way down here. That's probably about 40 feet away. You'll notice that nice arch on the top of it there. Okay, and I'm going to bring you up to this one and notice at this point it gets flat. That thing is completely compressed and that arch doesn't start again until about right there, and it starts going back into that bow approach. This one is severely compromised. I'm going to go to one more slide, and this is that compromised truss, and you can see some of this cracks. You see it heading right on back here. And again, this one was shored up last year. We did some work on that. It obviously is, I think if we hadn't done this last year, this thing probably would have come down. Just a guess. I mean, but it probably did keep it from falling out of there. I want to also point out this is the worst one, but this one is not. Notice that you've got a nice arch here. Get to that spot right there, and it goes flat till about right there, and then it starts to bow again. So every one of these things on either side is showing that same stress. Quick summary, we have moved everything out of there except for there's a few trail of history items, but all the equipment's out of there now. There's a little bit of supplies here and there, but nothing terribly expensive in there because we do not trust the building. We've also said to staff, stay out of the building. It's not a situation where we can just go in and order these trusses from Menards or something like that. These are specialty made. They'd have to be taken down, rebuilt completely and put back in there. So therefore, because of that, we're recommending that this one go on the demo list. The only other point to make about this is the trusses are believed to be and said to be from the 1933 World's Fair, a building that was constructed there and then moved here. So I'm assuming that the Historic Preservation Commission might be interested in, researching this a little bit. So we'll want to go through that process. So with that said, I'll turn it back to you, John, to facilitate the debate.
I don't think you're going to get a debate.
Not a debate for me.
Especially on that last building. I wish it would have fallen in before somebody
Yeah.
got hurt on it. You have something to say?
Well, I have two questions. What is your timeline, John? Do you want to bring it down sooner rather than later, I presume?
Yes, we will be getting some. We're going to use the. We're going to try to get some demolition cost estimates on this one, on the football building here, because it would be, as Chris Zianko, the facilities maintenance manager, said, it would be a lot easier to disassemble it than to try to scoop it up once it comes down. And of course, once a building comes down, there is a building right adjacent to this that we do use. And we don't want it to impact that. We don't think it will, but we don't want it to impact that. So this one's a wild card. It could be rather expensive. And so one of the first things that we're going to be doing is trying to apply some basic science and some cost estimates that we've received elsewhere for building demo to this one and see if maybe we can come back and say, okay, this is what we think it's going to cost. And we probably should make this a priority, this one over some of the other buildings. The intern house is fine. It can sit there. It'll just mean that when it gets put on the demo list, it means that we don't maintain it anymore. We're not going to try to maintain it anymore.
Great, great.
My second question is, because some of this relates to the snow load, is there any possibility of some reimbursement from our insurance? Because this is a weather-related event, it's not entirely the age of the building. So that, I mean, that's a legal insurance type question, but
So we
Yeah,
we have a deductible, and then we have to, so if we're looking to bring it down, you know, then they're not gonna insure a building that's moving in the demolition, but if there was this, is it salvageable, I guess?
Right.
is that the question?
They're only gonna, yeah, reimburse or pay for fixing it up. Yes,
They'll give you the money for it and then they'll let you take it down. That's not gonna.
Well, it might be less, I mean, just to be argumentative.
it,
They may
it,
be less of a hook to help underwrite the demo.
So
than
what you're
to-
saying is tell them we're gonna fix it unless they give us the money and then
You know, I'm sure that's all written in the contract someplace. I was just curious as to whether
You-
there's any
to your point, Bill, the one thing that we might be able to do is say, what would it cost to rebuild that truss? And then use that as, you know, as that's the damage, and to rebuild not that truss, but there's a couple of them that were damaged. So, I mean, it's worth a question, and I certainly will ask, because that's going to be an expensive tear down. And maybe we could apply that to it then.
yeah, if there's any way that they would. Bill has a good point, that it was weather related, and I just went through that with a building that was much like that, and they paid me pretty well to take it down and put a new one up. So there might be something there.
We will definitely follow up on that. That's a good suggestion. We'll follow up and see if maybe there's an opportunity here to partner with them. We'll use that term.
perfect. Thank you.
The other item, the items that were there, so this goes to the other discussion, there is a building off of Harts Road that we've reviewed because there's been a discussion, so that some of the items that were stored here will need to be relocated. So again, using that space, you know, so they have a safekeeping. So that's being worked at too. But we wanted, and John, thank you for the report. It was really important that we tee this up. We don't have all the costs yet, but make you aware of what's been going on, and then we will come back with a formal request for demolition and the costs and whatever else we find out from insurance.
And John, not related to these structures, but what about the Peachin Farm? Have we contacted anyone yet about the coming out and doing the study on that parcel?
Yes, we have Midwest Archaeological Resources is coming out there. I believe they're starting their field work this weekend. Actually, they're coming out on Saturday, I think. And so yes, we've got them under contract and it's moving forward.
Thank you. Anyone else have any more questions for John?
Nope.
Good, thank you, John. Okay, moves us to Executive Director's Report. Elizabeth?
Okay, a few things. Well, first of all, congratulations to everyone. Our budget for fiscal year 2022 was accepted. Thank you. Our county board liaison led the way and got us through with flying colors, so thank you. And she had wonderful remarks this past Tuesday night, as did our former liaison, Bob Nowak. So thank you, Kelly, for that. And the rest of the staff too for getting it all together. So it's amazing once we get through and things are moving smoothly. And I know last year was the first year that we had the accelerated budget, and thank goodness we did that because of COVID, because it put us in great space. So it's lovely to be right before we start our fiscal year, April 1st, to have that behind us and then moving forward. We also have the Festival of the Sugar Maples, 2 successful weekends. Our education team and working with law enforcement and Sites and Fleet and communications and marketing, everybody again working together. Very successful, over 1,000 people attended. They also did something new this year with doing some sales with syrup and cookies and candy, and that brought in about $4,000. So again, a great job, something new. And they're looking like they're going to keep Mondays going forward because they were able to host several private homeschooling groups with that setup.
Oh, nice.
So again, a very successful event, and again, just kudos to everybody on that. Sites and Fleet, again, weather being warmer, except for this little snowfall that we had this week. We've opened our sites, and so they're up and open before April 1st, and so again, another season of us being there to respond to everybody. They're eager to get outdoors, not that they could not, but again, getting the parking lots open, etc. So that took place, and we're going to be scheduling, keep things moving forward. I also shared, again, another grant opportunity, so from our planning manager, and Sites and Fleet, $50,000 to go towards the Ridingwood renovations project. So again,
I heard it on WBBM radio this morning.
did you? Wonderful,
Yes.
Excellent. Wow. So
I do have a question. So it said that it's only from Barnard Mill Road south to the bridge. Is that all that is, Amy?
Yes.
Just walk down there. I don't. Yeah, if you got a berm for the train, and then you're in a wetland. So good luck with that.
Thank you. We'll dig a ditch, I hope.
all good. So lovely to see money coming back and for these projects and the creative way to get that to have funds come back to us. And then we will be coming back next month on the request for the cloud for Microsoft, and we'll get that proposal together. Thank you very much for everybody collaborating. Those that have gone on to the Know Before You Go with IT, that helps us ensure we are inoculated against any phishing. So again, we appreciate everybody's support with that. And then with COVID, just wanted to give you just a brief update on where we are. And so there is information that is coming out from the governor that we're bridging to phase 5. So once 70% of the residents 65 and older have been vaccinated, and barring any reversals of COVID-19 hospitalizations, they'll be moving into increased capacity. So for the district, we've actually been doing very well, but we'll be able to maybe increase our numbers for our summer camp programs, for special events and things like that, which is great. It does allow more capacity into the offices and activities and events. So again, good news, we're headed in the right direction. There was a report, though, that the first variant was identified in McHenry County, so we did get news of that today as well. So we're continuing to be vigilant and keeping staff safe. They've done an amazing job being a 1 year in a COVID world, just outstanding. That we've been able to just do exceptionally. Just again, I'm amazed, but I'm not, because I know our team.
We have a great team.
Everybody just worked and things moved as efficient as possible and better. We are encouraging our staff to get vaccinated and to take the opportunity to do that if they can, and we're continuing to advocate for them, but it looks like that's going to open up as well as they move into this next phase for going to the district to get vaccinated. So that is my report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything for this evening? Not seeing anything, so how about public comment? Anybody have anything like to add out there?
Yeah, we have Kelly waving her hand.
Kelly, yes. And I see.
I just, maybe we can talk about it more on Tuesday night, but in a few emails with Elizabeth, we were talking about having a resolution in April at the county board meeting congratulating the Conservation District on 50 years. So what I think would be wonderful is if you or anybody would want to send me things that you think should be in that resolution. I am more than happy to put it together. But just since I'm new to the district, I'm new liaison, I don't know everything that should be in that resolution. So if you want to send me an email or call me or just funnel it through Elizabeth, that's fine. But I think that would be kind of a fun idea and a way to approach it. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly.
Very nice,
Kelly.
thank you. And
It was.
We also have Darren.
I couldn't see from here. Darren?
Hi there, Darren Strom. I am a fourth-year participant in Gabe's waterfowl hunting program and just want to express my enthusiasm and pleasure for the program. I hunt from the Wisconsin border to the Iowa border to the Indiana border to the Missouri border on mostly public land. I've been in private clubs, I've been in public, and I will say this is probably this is the best public hunting program. It's great because you don't have to stand in line at 4 a.m. trying to get a spot. Your spot is, pre-reserved for you months in advance, so you can plan around it. In terms of technology, it's pretty top notch. I mean, the fact that you sign in on your phone, report your harvest on your phone, and with all that, having all that data, like Gabe was talking about, you're able to get a lot of the reports. The stuff that I give to Illinois DNR where I sign on a form and either send it in on paper that day or, I get a survey at the end of the season, sometime in the next year, I might see what the harvest is for that site. With Gabe's program, it's great because, I hunted until November there, and by January, February, I knew how all the sites did. So just kind of want to give my kudos and support for the program. Really enjoy it. I've brought in several other people into the waterfall program, and I'm really happy this resource exists.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you for those comments. That's great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyone else out there? If not, then.
Well, I will move to go into executive session pursuant to 2C2 collective bargaining of the Open Meetings
Nope.
Act.
Nope, we don't need it.
Oh, never mind.
That was canceled.
Okay, didn't know that.
Okay, so you can move to adjourn if you like.
I will move to adjourn.
Great.
I'll second.
And Linda has a second. Roll call.
Trustee Brandt,
Dave.
Yes. I'm
Trustee
trying to see
Cook,
where I went wrong.
It got changed.
Yeah.
Trustee Cook,
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Dom,
Yes.
Trustee Henning.
Yes, we are adjourned till Tuesday evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I gotta